that down just a hair.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for your favorite podcast. It's time for From the Chair, where inclusion matters. We'll be back in a couple of minutes to talk about the show. Tonight on this episode of From the Chair, we're going to talk about the purchase of WWE, the passing of a WWE Hall of Famer, and much more. Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our new set. We'll be going live shortly. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it's showtime in 30 seconds. Good evening and welcome to the show. Tonight I'm going to start out. We've been working some late breaking news, but first I'd like to compliment the awesome new set that we have with our logo in there, and it's all over the box. We want to thank Mr. Dakota Haynes for helping us design this. Awesome new set. So we've got almost a week's worth of wrestling again for you guys this week. We're coming to you tonight live. We'll also be coming to you live on the 5th and 6th this month or this week. Plus, we'll be doing a pre-show and post-show from Friday Night SmackDown, the first SmackDown after WrestleMania. So it should be a huge show. Our guests on the 5th will be Dante King at 7 p.m. And on the 6th, we have Ray Rudd out of Colorado Springs. He's a promoter. And that interview will be at 5 p.m. Now, to the host.
Well, thank you, Tony, and welcome again, everybody. And not to correct you, but that's Ray Rude.
You should never correct me because I'm better than you, and you know it because look at my WrestleMania picks compared to yours, you loser.
That is true.
That's right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I finished 10-4. He finished a measly 500.
Yes,
so
but
he has a bunch of room to talk.
Night 2 killed me.
You kill me every day.
So let's talk about the big news of well, first of all, welcome back, Pat.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the huge news of the day, which is WWE being sold to Endeavor, which is the parent company of the UFC. Personally, I'm going to be positive about this. Because I have to wait and see how this is going to go. My only fear is I hope that the UFC doesn't do to WWE what they do with their pay-per-views, where like on ESPN Plus you have to, buy their subscription service, then another $60 for their pay-per-view. And first of all, your guys' thoughts on the initial sale, and then we'll get into the particulars of it.
Go ahead, Mr. Co-host.
My opinion is I agree with Nathan. Hopefully, it doesn't end up leaving Peacock.
Tony, your thoughts?
Well, I've got lots of thoughts running through this executive producer mind of mine, but a lot of them don't include the sale of the WWE, so we won't get into those. But the question at hand is the WWE sale. I think it's a smart move to keep it in Endeavor. At least it's to Endeavor and not the Saudis, which means if we have to pay a little bit more for the pay-per-views, then so be it. But I do understand that we should be able to keep it on the Peacock network as well. But I would like to talk to some, before we go ahead and get in particulars, I think it's something like the UFC and WWE now worth together is what, $21.8 million or $1 billion, you said?
21.9.
Okay, so I missed it by a point. Big whooping deal. Speaking of whoopings, you better be nice to me or I'll whoop you like Rey Mysterio whipped Dominic at WrestleMania on Saturday.
That was funny. And for those who are wondering, from everything I've heard, Triple H is still going to stay in his creative role and COO role. And not only that, but he got a $5 million raise, which anybody would be happy with that. Vince McMahon is going to be in charge of some of the corporate part of it, not the booking part, as some people have thought. But the interesting thing about that is, for the first time and I think forever, Vince McMahon actually has to answer to somebody, because the owner of Endeavor is now Vince McMahon's boss.
Speaking of Vince McMahon, I gotta get used to the idea of him having a mustache.
Yeah, the mustache.
You mean a Hitler-looking mustache, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, the mustache looks stupid. I sat through the whole hour or whatever it was interview with CNBC today thinking, that just doesn't look natural. I'm like,
no, that mustache just looks creepy on him. I'll just be blunt.
Now, Vince hasn't always been the best at working with others. So, to me, this is going to be interesting. I wish I remembered the guy's name from Endeavor, but he said that if him and Vince McMahon disagree on anything as far as the corporate side of WWE goes, they won't do it. Which, on paper, that's a good idea, but I don't know, knowing Vince's track record, if that's
really going to happen.
Yeah.
So thank you to our 2 viewers that are joined in.
Yes.
We did have 3, I think. Yeah.
And yes,
Might be
Dakota, it is Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns and Solo. And as Tony mentioned when we first hopped on before we went live, that makes perfect sense because Brock can't challenge for the title anyway because he lost that match with Roman at SummerSlam. Which again,
And-
ladies and
yeah.
gentlemen, proves why Tony is better than me, and I know it.
Well, it's not because of that. It's because I get Raw before you, and I see the spoilers, so I
Well,
get to
that's
spoil
true.
a lot of things for you. Just like I'm going to spoil this. I am so glad we're going to SmackDown on Friday. Ooh, the show looks really smoking hot.
Okay, so what have they added? I've been waiting for months to find out what I'm going to go see, so...
We will acknowledge the tribal chief.
All right, that's awesome.
We will welcome the new SmackDown Women's Champion.
That's awesome, and made one of the people I know really jealous.
And we will see the new Universal Tag Team Champions. And that is all that's announced so far.
Ooh, yes, Kevin Owens.
So,
Or as one of my new friends called them, Cammy.
so it looks like we're going to have one heck of a show on Friday night in Portland. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we will give you a pre and post show from Portland.
Yes.
But let's get on to some sad news. As I said in our opening, we're going to mourn the loss of a WWE Hall of Famer, and this is probably one of my favorite halves of tag teams that had just passed away. We need to mourn the loss of Bushwhacker Butch. Passed away at the age of 69.
Absolutely. What I loved
Hello,
about
Doug.
the Bushwhacker... Yes, and hello, Doug, and thank you for tuning in tonight. What I loved about the Bushwhackers were their energy. I mean, back in their heyday, there was a lot of times where it was like on Superstars or whatever, where the show was kind of, I don't want to say dead, but kind of a little slow. And whenever you heard the Bushwhackers music and they walked out with that arm thing where they were going like this, and, you know, they would find somebody in the crowd and look both sides of their face, you know what I mean? It just made you smile and kind of picked up the show a little bit.
I liked them when they were in WCW as the sheep herders.
Yes, with
a villainous team.
With former executive of WWE, John Laurinaitis.
Yeah, they had Jack Victory in their corner.
Yeah, well, John Laurinaitis was in their corner too as Johnny Ace.
Right. But no, my favorite match with the Bushwhackers has to be Survivor Series when they came out as Luke and Butch Doink.
Oh yeah, that Survivor Series, that was pretty funny.
And again, we're mourning the loss of Bushwhacker Butch. Passed away this morning at 69.
And I don't know which Bushwhacker it was, but the one that got eliminated from the Royal Rumble in like 3 seconds. I believe that was the 1990 Royal Rumble.
I believe it was Bushwhacker Butch. But I'll have to go back and look at that.
And you brought up a good point earlier. I think a lot of people forget that at the beginning part of their careers, they were a heel tag team because most people, and rightfully so, associate them with being fun-loving bushwhackers.
when they were the Sheepherders back in the NWA, they were a vicious tag team.
Yes. And still were when they were the faces, to be perfectly honest with you. They had glimpses of when they would just go off.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, who didn't like the battering ram as a finisher?
I thought the battering ram was an amazing finisher for them.
The only thing I wish is they would have been tag team champions more. I
Yes.
thought
Go ahead, guys.
I thought they should have been tag team champions. The other Survivor Series team I liked them on was when they were part of the team in 1991 with against Sergeant Slaughter's team. The Allied Powers or whatever.
Yeah.
With Nikita Koloff or Nikita Volkov and the one where they kind of did the battering ram to everybody to where it was only just Slaughter against the whole team.
Yeah. That was another Survivor Series.
So yeah, those are some of my favorite thoughts on the Bushwhackers. I think the report was that he was in Los Angeles, correct?
I'm not sure. He was in Los Angeles last week or this week or something, and was ill. So I don't know if he had passed away in Los Angeles or if he was back in New Zealand.
Got it. But I do know from talking to you earlier that there is a GoFundMe account to help his family.
The family has set up the GoFundMe account.
So for all our listeners out there or whoever will listen to this in the future, please look up that GoFundMe and help that family out.
And we've got 2 exciting interviews coming up this week on the 6th and the 5th. The 5th is going to be really fun because we have Dante, all hail the King Ford. And on the 6th, we've got Ray Rude.
Thank you.
A promoter from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Coming up the week, I think it's the week after. Yes, coming up the week after on the 13th is probably going to be my favorite interview with Mr. Gino, I Told You So, Rivera.
Yeah. Pat, we might just have to fade out during that interview because Tony and Mr. I Told You So have been going back and forth on social media. So,
Mr. I Told You So, you may think you told me so, but this is our podcast, and I'm better than you, and you will soon know it.
But I'd like to say that this is only the views of Mr. Wagner and not the views of the other members of this podcast.
Shut up, Nos. You're the host.
Oh, great.
You're the one that
you're the one that be a by proxy.
You're the one that gives me all the you're the one that gives me all the control. You even said it yourself. So, Mr. I Told You So, this entire podcast says we're better than you, and you know it. And the host says that he can beat you in a wrestling match with with both hands tied behind his back.
Please, Lord, let my life insurance policy be paid up.
So, Mr. I Told You So, I'll see you on the 16th. Or, I'm sorry,
13th.
The 13th. Which brings us to the 16th, where we'll see Mr. Wes Lee. If the host survives I Told You So, he'll be able to talk trivia with Mr. Wes Lee and talk about the Jericho Cruise.
Yes, and when you mean trivia, specifically the Seattle wrestling scene and the 1960s wrestling scene.
No, I meant trivia. I didn't mean specific trivia. Come on, Nos, get with it.
I am with it.
I kind of like the tag idea tonight. It's gonna set something up for Backlash.
Yeah.
I agree, but I do like the way Doug worded that.
And Cody knew he had his number last night if it wasn't for Solo. But hey, you know, we did say on this podcast that we had a guest that told us it was either going to be Cody winning with Solo Sikoa's help or Roman Reigns winning with Solo Sikoa's help. And it actually happened the way that it was scripted. So, touche, congratulations, you know.
Yeah, but again, last night, Dakota brought up a good point. In theory, and I'm not talking Austin theory, shouldn't Cody have been or Roman been disqualified if the referee heard the belt shot from that hit Cody with the weight belt? I mean, obviously he heard it because that's why he threw Solo out of the.
And robbed the fans of the beautiful main event that it was. Why would he do that? He did the absolute right call.
No, I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying, in theory, he should have.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are, Nas.
No, I'm not.
But anyways, it's not my job to argue with you because I already know I'm better than you. So.
And another question about that weight belt: was there two, or did he steal it from Brody Lee Jr.?
Well, you already heard Dakota say last night in the comments that there was two belts. So do your research, Nos, and go back and read your notes from last night.
Hey, as you know, I do plenty of research.
Okay, Mr. 7-7 for WrestleMania picks to my 10-4.
Hey, it's not my fault that they didn't do things the way I wanted them to.
Okay, Mr. 7-7, I've got to wear a dress to a Mariners game to my 10-4.
Yes, I have to wear a dress to a Mariners game, but damn it, I'm going to make it look good. The only thing I haven't figured out yet is if I'm going to wear a bra or not.
Please, God, no.
And I hope it's not a windy day.
And the other thing you got to figure out is, are you going to shave that stuff on your face or not?
No.
You're going to be one ugly woman.
Wait, you never heard of the bearded lady?
I think there's new people coming still, Dakota. It's just they made that stipulation to where it had to be somebody from last night that wrestled.
I would agree with that because at every WrestleMania every Raw after WrestleMania, there's always one or two people that debut.
And if they don't debut tonight, thank God, because guess who's going to SmackDown on Friday?
Thank you, Doug, for thinking I'll look good in a dress.
Yes, but the question is, will he get out of Seattle alive?
Well, based on what I have to say, thanks to Mr. T-Rex, probably not. So, Pat, who do you think might show up tonight?
I'm actually, one of my coworkers actually said this to me today. He's expecting the Viper.
Well, if he did his research like Mr. Dakota has, the Viper's not ready to come back from injury yet. So, sorry, not happening.
But if I have to pick, I would say Braun Breaker.
And you and Doug would be on the same page, and I actually would agree with that one. The only other one,
I'm going to go with a surprise, as I had quoted to Mr. Nos and Mr. Dakota when we were on our screen update page, which, by the way, again, is beautiful. Thank you, Dakota. Thank you, Nathan, for the awesome new set. Nathan made a comment to me that I'm always working. And I said, no, I'm always working, like Matt Cardona is always ready. So I'm thinking Matt Cardona shows up tonight.
That's a good possibility also, but I think we're forgetting one other person that might show up.
It doesn't matter your opinion, Nathan.
And I think that would be the Switchblade, Jay White.
Are we not 100% sure he's not going to AEW?
Well, in wrestling, you're never 100% sure, but technically, why would he go to AEW? I mean, if he goes to AEW, okay, yes, he could fight, he could feud with Kenny Omega, or he could join up with the Elite. But there's a lot more like matches that you've never seen before if he goes to WWE.
You know, you have something there, Nathan. It's literally hitting me. Jay White could show up and join forces with Cody.
Well, they do have history.
That is a very strong possibility. But I think Cody's getting his rematch for the title tonight. For Backlash, it's going to revolve around Brock helping him.
Yeah. Sorry. We have to say this one up. In fact, I'm going to put that one up there. That's such a good one. I have to put it up on the screen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree there, Doug. MJF needs to start acknowledging me with that catchphrase.
Or me.
And, normally, like I say, I apologize that I'm like this on the podcast with Nathan, but, somebody's got to play the heel character of this podcast, and God knows Nathan's too nice to do it, although he doesn't know how to shut up. So maybe he'd make a good heel talking, but, he's too nice of a guy to play a heel. So I guess by process of elimination, that means I've got to play the role. So this is all in fun and games. I actually love Nathan to death. And, I would do anything and everything for this podcast. Obviously, we've got like almost a page of solid bookings for interviews that we will get into throughout the podcast.
Yes, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say it. I'm sure you guys agree. Thank you to Plex and to Sizzle for all their help in getting us in contact with some of these people. And if you guys are listening or listen later, it seems like you guys had a hell of a couple of days of a party in the Plex Zone in LA the last 2 days for wrestling.
Yes, and speaking of Sizzle, we'd like to announce that go listen to his radio station, Kitsch Radio.
Yeah, it's the Kitsch Radio fan group page.
Well, they were supposed to unveil a nice new Cody.
Well, Doug,
Rhodes
I'm glad you said that. Go ahead. Sorry, Tony.
I was saying, well, they were supposed to unveil a new Cody Rhodes winged title belt, but that didn't happen because of the purchase of WWE today. And now we understand why Roman Reigns actually won last night. It was because WWE was in the process of being bought.
Yep. And Doug, from what I heard today, they're debuting all new belts in the near future, probably after
probably in the month of May when they do the
public.
Yeah, and then probably in the month of May when they do the WWE draft.
What I would like to see is we've seen the women do this is way in the future, but bear with me. you've seen the women do a tag team Hell in the Cell match before.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Long-winded Nathan speaking again.
I would like to see the men do a tag team title Hell in the Cell.
Oh, we lost his audio, people. Okay, he's back.
You mean Elimination Chamber, Nathan?
Yeah, Elimination Chamber. What did I say?
Hell in a Cell.
Hell in a Cell.
Oh, sorry.
That's why I muted you.
But yes, I would like to see them do a tag team title Elimination Chamber.
So I tried to do this last night. So fans, what do you want to talk about? Open forum. Ask the hosts anything. While we're waiting for questions, I would like to announce that this podcast is now a proud media coverage for Combat Pro Wrestling in Marysville, Washington. We get 3 shows with them to do their live media scrum after their events. And one of our fans is going to actually assist our host with those media scrums.
Yes, he is. And the first one of those will be on April 29th.
At 5:30 p.m. right here on this podcast network. Following that media scrum, we have another interview that night with our first female wrestler on this podcast, Miss SOS, out of Arizona, I believe.
Yes, out of Arizona.
And she will be immediately on after the media scrum at 7 p.m.
Well, Doug, I liked the Hell in the Cell at WrestleMania, although I thought Gangrel was going to be involved. Again, I kind of fell into the trap of listening to the dirt sheets all week, and they had said that Gangrel was going to be, involved in that match. Although I did like Edge's entrance with the futuristic helmet and everything.
That was pretty
And now,
cool.
ladies and gentlemen, you know why he finished 7-7 because he listened to the dirt sheets and didn't pick with his gut like he should have.
I want to know what you guys think, but my favorite spot in that whole match was when Finn Balor climbed up halfway up the cage and tried to do the coup de grace through the table. Granted, he missed, but it was still a pretty cool spot.
I thought that was mind blowing.
To me, it was the spot. To me, it was the spot in the match. I knew I lost that match because, unlike the host, I actually got that match wrong, and I'm not afraid to admit that I got that match wrong.
Two of the matches that I got wrong.
Reading Doug's comment.
That's a good comment. We'll put it up on screen.
Doug, you're on a roll today, my man.
Snoop Dogg was good at WrestleMania. He should join WWE and call himself the Doctor of Smoothness. I love that.
I like that.
And let's mourn. Speaking of mourning the loss of somebody, let's mourn the loss of the Fizz's career. 0-2 at WrestleMania, losing to Pat McAfee and Snoop Dogg in the same weekend.
Oh,
I agree with that, but somebody brought something to my attention earlier, and that is a former guest of this podcast, the Rat King, who said that even though he doesn't like the Fizz as a character, you have to give him credit for calling the spot when Shane hurt himself.
Okay, so the Fizz has a heart. Wah, wah, wah. He's still lost.
My question is when
Speaking of losers, how's it feel to be in the Miz's foreshadow as a loser?
Not bad, but I know I have bigger balls than the Miz anyway, so I'll take that as a win.
Like I was trying to say, is I already know the two matches that I didn't get right, and that was the men's showcase Fatal 4-Way and the women's Fatal 4-Way showcase.
Well,
surprisingly, I actually got that men's one.
Yeah, surprisingly, Mr. Nos actually pulled one out of his butt and actually got one of the Fatal 4-Ways. Oh, but wait a minute. I got the women's one right. So
now I do like Rey Mysterio's entrance.
That's a harsh comment, but I have to agree.
I'm sorry, Doug, you're in a wrong.
Only because I'm a big John Cena fan, but I have to agree.
Oh Lord, keep them coming, Doug.
I totally agree with Doug on that one, big time.
So let's talk about the Miz or the Fizz again for a second. Do you think when Snoop Dogg hit the Fizz with the Snoop Dogg elbow or whatever they're calling it, his balls just sprinkled up right into his stomach? I mean, they're already small enough as it is.
I don't know, Mr. Host. How would it make you feel? You're a loser like the Miz or the Fizz.
Yeah, but mine wouldn't shrink up into my stomach.
No, never mind. I won't say it. We're on YouTube.
Oh yeah, you remember we have to keep everything PG.
I won't say it because we're on YouTube, and I'll keep it clean.
Actually, I heard something.
I don't think Miz had a pair against Snoop Dogg.
Actually, I did hear during an interview when I was doing research for the King last night, where he did another podcast with a guy from Buckle Bomb, and they actually used quite a bit of cuss words on that one. So I think if we let one slip here or there, it wouldn't actually be an issue.
No, I will. I'll keep my end clean because
and it has been reported that Shane McMahon did tear his quad.
Yeah, the way he landed, you could see he tore it.
Well, the dude is like 50-some years old. I mean, come on, give me a break.
And at least he's not donning the mustache like his daddy.
That's true. And that's a good point, Doug. I actually thought LA Knight was going to come out also.
LA Knight. Yeah! Thank you for my catchphrase, Doug. I really appreciate it.
Now, talking about the Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Oh, that's right. Another one that Mr. Nos lost.
I believe...
Yes.
Tony and I agreed that it was going to come down to Bobby Lashley and Bronson Reed. I did not expect Bronson to eliminate Strowman, though.
No. But I'll tell you what, Bobby Lashley's segment was the most disappointing segment on WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah. Big time. I thought he was going to come out and issue an open challenge for that trophy.
I mean, you have a
Well,
guy like Bobby Lashley, and all you're going to do is have him carry a trophy out to the stage.
Well, to be fair, he was actually supposed to do an open challenge, but I don't know what happened. Maybe it was Vince McMahon called an audible or something. Well, I know what happened. That's right. The guy that he was supposed to have an open challenge with went and re-signed with ROH. That's right. That's what happened.
Oh, Cage.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, come on, they couldn't have put the aforementioned LA Knight up against him.
Dummy, yeah.
So you agree?
No,
I would love to saw LA Knight.
I called you a dummy, yeah.
Well, we've already established that.
Dummy, yeah.
The only thing I'm missing is the guy that would play the woodmaker with Pinocchio.
Damn you! Now I need my button.
I don't even know what that guy's name is. It's been a long time since I've.
I do agree with Doug on that. I thought someone was going to come out and destroy that trophy.
I thought it was going to be Uncle Howdy.
It's back, Nathan.
What's back?
Hold on.
Oh, God, you got the button again, didn't you? He's got the dummy button that LA Knight used in Impact.
Yes, the button's back. The button's back.
Oh, welcome back, button.
I used this on a podcast with Nathan's old co-host.
Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I just put over a button. Yep. Oh, it's like deja vu.
Now, the two entrances, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think we all predicted Seth defeating Logan was going to happen, but I did not like how Seth came out in that outfit.
I didn't mind that. I mean, they were gonna sing his song anyway, so why not make it a little more theatrical and have the orchestra leader do it?
No, what I'm talking about, Nathan, is the jacket and the gloves that he had on.
Oh yeah, the jacket was horrible. Well, the jacket looked like he robbed the Kool-Aid man.
I agree with that one, Nathan.
Oh, wow.
But I love how Ray paid homage to Eddie.
Yes, but the funniest part in that match was when Dominic got stuck in the corner and Ray whipped his ass from one side to the other.
Oh, I know.
Speaking of bad outfits, man,
Literal.
look at what Corey Graves is wearing tonight. It's hideous.
I do agree
Well, it
with
wasn't
that.
like he was wearing much better at WrestleMania.
However, I do like how they incorporated Bad Bunny into that match.
Yes. So I said something bad about Seth Rollins' outfit. You know what Corey Graves' jacket reminded me of?
Huh.
That must be what it looks up. So, it boggles my mind that these guys make so much money, but then they pick out outfits that look like you would find like in a circus.
OMG. Another ridiculous outfit for Seth.
Well, he is the king of that.
Well, no, that was his WrestleMania gear, Pat.
No, the one
he
he's
wore
on right now, Tony.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
when you see it, you'll see why I'm a little.
Well, it looks kind of like what Corey Graves is wearing tonight.
Oh boy, that
But
gives
it
me
looks like there's a-
anticipation of what I'm gonna. Am I gonna have to cover my eyes for blindness purposes if I
He
see
has
what
a
Corey Graves
face.
is?
There's a face on his jacket.
Well, I mean, having
And
a
it's
face
white
on your
and black.
jacket is a thing. There's a guy that wrestles for championship. There's a guy that wrestles for championship wrestling from Hollywood, named Jarvis Cottonbelly, and he has faces all over his jacket. So
True.
depending on the character, I guess it would.
And Jimmy Hart did it back in his day.
That is true, Doug. When they did the Hollywood thing, he did play a pretty good Joker.
Yes, he did. He
he
had
was
the laughs too.
Yes. Now Becky's Batman for that.
Becky
needed
would
a
have
little
to be
work.
Batgirl.
Yeah, but I mean, her Batman voice needed a little work.
Yes. But no, I love how Snoop Dogg drove Eddie out in the lowrider, and they started
Yeah,
off with
when he-
Snoop Dogg's music, and then it hit, and then the late great Eddie's music hit, and then Rey Mysterio's music hit. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I did too. And I wasn't upset with Dominic's prison entrance either.
Oh no, it actually was pretty good. It actually meshed in with it, what he was doing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got carried away singing Seth's entrance music.
It's all right. We all do.
Yeah, it looks like he stole Becky's clothes again.
Well, maybe he tried to dress in the closet.
See, that was another match that really was a real good match. Was that 6-woman tag?
And another match that our host lost.
Yes, I know I lost, but I honestly thought Trish was going to turn.
Again, that's what you get for listening to the critics.
But correct me if I'm wrong, though. Didn't you guys agree that that was a possibility? So I wasn't the only one that was completely wrong on that.
I was Team Bestie 100%, and you know it.
Well, I know somebody agreed with me on here that it was a possibility that they.
I believe I said it was a possibility, but I still went with Becky and the Hall of Famers.
So there was two entrances that I thought were really sweet, and that was sweet as far as like nice, not which was the John Cena one when he brought out all the kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
That was
And-
kind of a sleeper. It was, but
and,
I respect him for what he did.
Yes, and yeah, I kind of was too, Doug. That was probably
That's
one
why
of
they
the
didn't-
longest Rams.
That's why they
they've
didn't
had.
show. Yeah, that's why they didn't show us Titus O'Neil. He probably would have slipped halfway down.
Fell back under the ring.
But you know, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to admit that was one of the 4 matches I actually lost to. Was the John Cena Austin Theory match?
That was actually one of the ones that I got right.
Yeah, unfortunately, you got that one right.
And the other entrance that I really liked was Bianca Belair's.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up. You know that little girl that brought her down to the ring. Her mama died the day of WrestleMania, just hours before WrestleMania, right?
Yes, I did know that. I had just found that out before we got on the.
Yeah, I read that, and it's like, that is awesome that Bianca did that.
And for the ones that are wondering which little girl, it was the one that did the bends and stuff, and then the one that came up to her backstage.
Yep.
Yeah.
The one that was in front of all the other girls.
And I was speaking of that Bianca Belair match. Wasn't that another one you got wrong there, Mr. Host? That's right.
Yes, but I swear to you, when Asuka walked in the armbar, when she countered the KOD at first, I was so confident that I was going to get that one right.
Bianca's quicker, stronger, faster than the rest of the divas in the WWE. And the minute you start acknowledging that, you'll be smarter than me, and I know it.
Well, she is smarter because she's the first one I've ever seen to actually duck out of the way of the mist. Although I still say it would have been funny if she would have blocked it with the braid.
I have to give props where credit where credit is due. Rhea and Charlotte having
I know.
the very first female ring announcer, the first female referee, and Charlotte and Rhea all at WrestleMania. That was a history-making moment right there.
But there was more history made in that match.
Yes, Rhea won it. And I love how Rhea got it.
No, there was more history made in that match and Nathan and I discussed it on the podcast Sunday night.
Yes.
Rhea Ripley is the first Grand Slam women's champion.
Yep. Even though Bayley would question it, did Bayley ever win the NXT UK title?
Bayley never won the UK title.
Yep, she never did.
And that's
it's funny you mentioned that, Doug. Sorry, Pat, I didn't mean to cut you off. Because going into our predictions, I said that Asuka might cut off the ponytail of Bianca.
I don't know what you're still talking. I still don't know what you're talking about Asuka for, dude. You lost. Drop it.
I was answering Doug's question.
No,
and again, I apologize.
So go ahead, Pat. Finish your thought.
I actually see someone coming from the NXT women's division coming up, cutting off that tail, and starting a feud with Bianca.
Okay, let's go with that for a minute. Who would you bring up from NXT to do that?
The one person that you would least expect.
Which would be?
The boss. Or the final boss. I really believe that she can be a heel on the main roster.
Well, she could definitely be a heel, but we don't know how much of a contract she has with WWE. You know, I believe she's just wrestling on a per appearance basis when they need her in NXT.
I mean, she did start in WCW.
Yes. Very young in WWE. But I think, if I'm right, she only had a couple of matches.
She had about 3 or 4 matches, if I remember right.
That's true, Dakota. Sasha Banks will be back. He's talking about the final boss, Sakamura, that took on Roxanne Perez at NXT.
No, Mercedes Moné is probably AEW bound. And for those of you that don't know that,
that's
Sasha Banks.
as is her former tag team championship partner, now known as Trinity Star, who was backstage at Supercard of Honor this weekend. So, other than the Usos, who do you think is going to be the first one to challenge Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn?
I'm gonna have to say Street Profits.
They did win that tag match that
They
Nathan
did.
surprisingly got right.
With a very painful finisher. The frog splash while the guy had his stomachs over the knees of Dawkins. Ow.
Yeah, I don't know what to call that. Dakota, I agree with you on that one. Red Solo Cup.
Although I wonder if that would be where they would split them. If the Profits can't win the tag titles, does like Montez Ford just get so frustrated that he just snaps and takes out Dawkins?
Unless they decide to get certain person in their corner.
I don't know. I'm kind of leaning toward
But
what Tony
I
was
do,
saying. I don't know if they're going to. I think they're going to split them before they do that.
I do see a split coming. I really do. However, if MVP does this, instead of going with Benjamin and
Alexander.
I could see MVP convincing the Street Profits joining Omos.
I don't think the Street Profits are going to be together. I think they're going to split them.
That's what I said. My money is going to be on the split.
And I think, and I've said this before, and this isn't a negative thing on Angelo Dawkins, even though it kind of sounds like it. I think Montez Ford is the Shawn Michaels of that tag team. He's going to be the breakout.
We'll talk to you later, Doug. Have a great evening. Thank you for watching.
Yes, very much so. But I do have to give Angelo it for that pounce that he hit on Braun Strowman at WrestleMania.
Yes.
That was pretty nasty.
So let's take a minute and thank our sponsor, Bruce Nichols Painting, who's going to sponsor this next segment.
And he'll do all your painting needs and pressure washing. So look him up. He is now taking bids.
So let's look into our next month. Let's look into the month of May. We've got an interview on the 2nd with Blake Daniels, a professional wrestler out of California, at 7 p.m. on the 2nd. On the 8th of May, we've got our second professional female wrestler, Panda, out of Colorado. And then the week after that, we've got a phenomenal female wrestler out of a lucha company in California, Scarlett, the Queen of Heart Rose. All coming up in the
early. And I'm very excited about all those, but especially. Go ahead. Sorry, Tony.
All coming up in the early month of May, and if you cut me off again, now, I'm gonna come and lay at the smackdown on your candy ass.
Well, I didn't mean to do it that time. There was a little delay when the screen froze. and the Rhodes one, because I've always been a big fan of Lucha Libre.
Oh, I forgot to advertise our 423 interview. That's with one of probably the most talked about managers on the West Coast, former WCWC manager, current blue collar wrestling manager of the faction Hellbound, probably one of the best factions on the West Coast, Mr. Tubbs.
Yes. So
go ahead, Mr. Noss. Back to your show.
So, let's talk about an organization that we don't really talk about much, or haven't talked about much on here, and that's GCW, which stands for Game Changer Wrestling.
Whose world champion is Marcia Slamovich.
Yes, of Impact. And I believe that's only the second time that a woman has been a world champion, with the first being Tessa Blanchard. They have some great lineage in that company, from guys like X-Pac, from Joey Janela to Jon Moxley, and the list goes on and on. So I would recommend checking them out. You can find them on Twitter and all the social media platforms. And one thing I want to say too is, don't forget this coming up Sunday is A on Dusty Rhodes, which should be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'll have to record it because I'll be at my sister's for Easter.
Fair enough. Actually, I'll be doing a podcast at that time, so I'll be watching it probably the next day on the A&E website. So let's talk about Supercard of Honor for a minute. Who do you think is going to be the next one to challenge Claudio for the ROH heavyweight championship?
I would like to see Mark Briscoe.
Ooh.
Hey, Mr. Claudio Castagnoli, I've got it on personal reference that Mr. Nathan Noss wants to challenge you to a match for your ROH title. Anything goes in his nursing home bed. And if he can't beat you, he said he's going to put his podcast on the line.
First of all, I never said that. Second of all, I like my jaw too much. My head would come off my body like one of those carnival games where you hit the hammer and ring the bell. Okay. But I do like your pick, Pat, of Mark Briscoe. So
I mean, it was a
in
shame
that
that
same
he came up short.
thing, what do you think about the new ROH? Yeah. What do you think of the new? Who do you think's going to challenge the new ROH Tag Team Champions, the Lucha Brothers?
That's a tough one. But if I have to pick, I would say, again, it's really hard to say because there's a lot of good tag teams that could take them.
Aussie Open.
Thank you, Tony. I'll go with that one.
Ooh, like that. I was gonna lean maybe towards the. I was gonna lean maybe towards the Kingdom. But talking about the tag teams, we do want to send our thoughts out again to Dante Martin on a speedy recovery after destroying your ankle.
Yeah, that was a harsh landing that he did. If I saw it correctly.
Oh yes, you did.
Yeah, I would put that close, not exactly up there, but close to when Sid broke his leg in WCW.
Yeah, that looked like a very nasty fall. Kind of like how Nathan tries to fall out of his bed and breaks his head, and the nurses won't come, and the nurses don't come tumbling after.
I'm not a crippled Humpty Dumpty, man. Come on now.
I'm just full of it tonight, Mr. Nos. Can you just tell that?
Could you put me back together with Gorilla Glue, though? I've heard that sticks really well.
Well, all we have to do is to use Gorilla duct tape.
Come on, I need a little bit more than duct tape. Much as it rains around here, you go out, if you're put together with duct tape, the duct tape would. So, and for those who thought that maybe Penta messed up on the move that caused Dante's injury, I went back and watched the video on that, and there's nothing anybody could have done. That was just one of the things that happened. So, again, for the one viewer that we have, if you guys have anything you want to, questions you want to ask us, please feel free. Again, as Tony said, I'd like to say thank you to CPW for giving us the opportunity to do these media scrubs. I think you guys are really going to enjoy their talent and the creativity that their roster brings. They do have an up and coming star. Well, probably a lot of up and coming stars, but what I know in particular that's I've been hearing a lot about in the last few weeks is Rashad Taylor, and he's their CPW Cruiserweight champion. Very, very. One of the moves that I thought was interesting for their last show that they did, which you can find the highlights of those on my Facebook page. They made a highlights package, and to look that up, just look up Nathan Noss. That's Noss, and you'll be able to find that highlight package. But one of the moves they did that I thought was interesting was somebody got pile driven through a table. And actually, a friend of the podcast.
We have a couple of friends of the podcast that work for that company.
Yes, we do. One of which on May 27th.
Now, talking about Stand and Deliver, oh my God, that was awesome.
Yes, Stand and Deliver was a great pay-per-view. Thank you again to Miss Tonette, because in full disclosure, I kind of overslept a little bit, and she literally came into my room at the Frontier and said, "I'm surprised you're not watching Stand and Deliver," which my exact words were "son of an SOB." And I ended up turning it on. Schism was, or what I thought Schism was going to win, because it was at the part where Duke Hudson, put on the Schism shirt.
Yeah. The match that I didn't I think we all failed on was that 5-way.
Yeah, because I didn't think Wesley was going to keep it.
No, neither did I. But man, that was a good match.
Yes, it was. Schism, though, did you hear that 2 members of Schism got released today?
Probably the tag team.
Yep.
So, if I can get a word in as edgewise here, I'd like to do some promoting for our friend Jay Sizzle for Rizzle and the Plex Nation. For those of you that are in Pueblo, Colorado, on Tuesday, May 9th, from 4 to 7, they're hosting their first ever community block party between Risley Middle School and Lontra Library at 1315 East 7th Avenue in Pueblo, Colorado. Please go and support both of them wonderful men, because without them, some of these interviews would not be possible.
And just enjoy the nice country that Colorado is. I have quite a bit of family over there myself, so. Getting back to Stand and Deliver, and are you finished, Tony? I didn't mean to step over you.
I really wish you wouldn't get back to Stand and Deliver, because you're a loser. You can't even pick a WWE pay-per-view right. Why would we want to talk about Stand and Deliver where you probably did even worse?
Actually, I didn't do half bad on Stand and Deliver. And like I said, the only reason I finished 500 at WrestleMania was because Night 2 killed me.
Yeah, I didn't fare so well on Night 2 either.
You know who did finish? You know who did fare well at the entire WrestleMania?
Here we go.
Me, the executive producer, me. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I finished with a whopping record of 10-4. Mr. Noss finished at 7-7, and I can't remember what Mr. Pat's picks were, but none of them were as exceptional as me.
I had 5 wins on Saturday and 3 losses.
Well, you
Okay.
finished the same as Nathan.
Okay, what
And
did
then-
you
And then Saturday or Sunday, I can't remember who I picked between Brock and Omos. I think I picked Brock.
I think you did. So you got that one right too. You were Mr.
Um,
Nos was the only one that picked Omos.
I think
I think I picked Bianca.
Yeah,
Or-
Nos was the only one that picked. Nos was the only one that picked Oscar.
I failed on the Fatal 4-Way showcase on both nights.
I didn't. I got one right.
I didn't on the first.
It's not about you, Nos. We all
Um,
know you lost.
I failed on the Intercontinental title.
Oh, that's right. So you actually finished worse than Nos.
Yep, because I got that one right. That was the first one I got right on night 2.
And I actually got the Hell in a Cell right.
Yeah, so did Nos.
And then, of course,
Yep.
the championship.
Yeah, we all failed on the championship.
But now that I see what they were doing, I completely understand what they did. Why they let women keep it.
Well,
But-
it's like Dakota said yesterday, and some of the other people in the chat last night. Both agreed that we think it's going to go to 1,000 days, and then they'll have them move it.
Yep, I do agree with that.
Well, I heard it was going to go way past 1,000.
Really?
I heard it was going to go to mid-thousands before they let him lose.
Well, I mean, that would definitely shatter some records.
He's already up there with the likes of Pedro Morales.
He's still got longer title reign. There's only 5 of them that have higher title reigns than he has. And they named them all at WrestleMania last night.
Yep. With Roman being number 5. Because they named Pedro Morales, Hulk Hogan, Bob Backlund, and
Pedro Sammartino.
Bruno Sammartino.
Yep, and Bruno.
Yeah. I did think it was a sweet moment, though, during Cody's entrance when he picked up his baby and gave her a kiss on the cheek.
Oh, that was sweet. I love that. I love the fact that he gave his weight belt to Brody.
I mean, let's talk about that. I mean, the kid lost his father, and he got a wrestling contract. And then Cody Rhodes runs to WWE and invites Brody there to get a weight belt from Cody. I mean, boo-hoo. Come on, kid. Your father's gone. Quit living on his legacy and make your own damn legacy.
He's 9! What kind of legacy are you going to make it 9?
Dude, I'm a heel, okay? I'm a heel. It's my job.
My dad want me to do have a run. I know that.
Just like this is my job. Night, night, Nos.
The other match at Sun and
That's right, Nos. You're in timeout. Be a good boy and I'll let you out.
The other match I didn't do so well on Stand and Deliver was the women's ladder match. Because I had predicted Roxanne to retain.
Yeah. Now letting you know timeout is brought to you by Mr. I told you so because I told you so. Again, Nathan's talked so much trash tonight that he thinks he's better than Mr. I told you so, and he'll tell you so. And Mr. Nos is back. How would you like to respond to Mr. I told you so?
I've never said nothing but complimentary things to Mr.
And we've got a power shortage again on Mr. Nos. And I think he's back, maybe.
What happens when you give somebody way too much power? I mean, earlier in the podcast, he thought he was channeling his inner Kimberly Page with this me stuff.
Me.
My point exactly.
Okay, Mr. Nos. You're about to be.
Here it comes.
You're about to be. Deleted! Deleted! Deleted!
Thank you.
I deleted you, see? Anyways, again, I just do this to pick on Mr. Nos. There's nothing but mutual respect.
So,
Very funny. I got one. I'll call you later. Okay. This book is spot on. Well, yours was great.
but very intrigued to see Raw tonight. I know Tony and Pat are already watching it, but this Raw is always one of my favorites.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's no spoilers yet. I mean, there's no new people coming in. They haven't unveiled anybody. No surprise returns.
Well, it's like you said, maybe wishful thinking here, but maybe they're holding it off till SmackDown in Portland.
Tony, I know you have it on. You're about to see it. I'll wait. And it's going to happen next week.
Yeah, I was hoping it was going to be Friday, but yeah.
What's happening next week?
None of your business. You can wait and watch it.
All right. No, seriously, what is it?
I could tell you, but I'd have to delete you.
You already did that once.
Raquel and Liv for the tag titles next Monday.
Interesting.
They just won a tag team match against Damage Control.
Got ya.
So really quick, let's finish off with the 26th of May. We have Reggie, a referee out of the state of Virginia, joining us for an interview. And then the very next night is our second media scrum for Combat Pro Wrestling. And we're going to just go ahead and announce the June one now. The June one is going to be the third and final media scrum for Combat Pro Wrestling. And that's going to be at their Strawberry Festival in Marysville, Washington. That is their WrestleMania. And we're going to be doing the exclusive media scrum
Yes.
both nights.
Yes, I'm very excited about that, and hope to possibly be at that one, although that's still up in the air.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have for a show tonight. So, without further ado, thank you for watching from the chair where inclusion matters. We'll see you on the 5th with All Hail the King. Until then,
Yep.
be well to each other. Peace. Good night. We bid you adieu. Bang.